everyone, Amanda here from scrimpingmommy.stampinup.net. That's the name of my web shop. So today I'm sharing this cute little mini album with you. Just a minute, I've got a wire dangling. Let me just move that out of the way, otherwise it's going to bother me. So I've got this cute little, it's like a little mini album. It's designed for a traveller. It'd be really good as a male gift because I've done it in, you know, not pink, but it would suit anybody. And what it is either a mini album, or you could put it on a desk with photos, so you could give it to the gentleman or lady in your life, and they could have it on the desk at work. It pulls out. Also, you can have it as a gift card holder. You could fill it with lovely sentiments as like an affirmation book. So what we've got is we've got a simple closure here created by this stamped embossed image. I'll show you how to do that later on, and it's just a lovely little thing. So here we've got a pocket. You've got my Boots reward card, but you would add a gift card for something, or perhaps you could put some money in there. Now we've got a little sentiment here, and then this just pulls out like so, okay, and you've got a accordion style photo mat. Now you could put lovely sentiments on each of that. It could be a card, all right. You could put photos on there, like I say, and then it could sit on somebody's desk at work perhaps. Lots and lots of ideas. You could put a calendar in there, and it is matted on both sides with this absolutely beautiful paper. It's gold foiled. Look at it, how stunning it is against this simple black cardstock. It's a simple idea. It's really lovely. Like I say, you could put what you want in there, and then it's got a very simple closure. It just flicks like so. So let's show you how to make it. So first of all, I'll share with you what I've used. I've used the Beautiful World stamp set. Okay, I don't have the dies, so I have punched the circles out with circle punchers, and anything else I shall fussy cut. And then I've used the World of Good Speciality Designer Series paper, and it's a speciality paper because, as you can see there, lots of the pages in here are gold foiled. It's beautiful. We've got the maps, we've got the grid, we've got the globes there. It's absolutely stunning, stunning paper. So that's what we're using. So I'm going to show you how to make the album, and I'll show you the basic matting, and I'll just mat probably just one or two of these, and then you go away and do both sides. I'm going to leave all of the measurements of everything I do over on my blog at scrimpingmommy.co.uk. There will be a link in the description box below. So every single piece of paper, every score will all be over there for you to find. Alright, so we're starting off first of all with a piece of black cardstock which measures, where am I? 3 3/4 by 8 3/4. All right, it's very, very simple. You can get, if you cut it right, you can get the cover and then the 3 pages that you're going to need. You get all of that out of a sheet of 12 by 12. All right, just think about how you're cutting it. So what we're going to do is, on the long side, we're going to score at 3 1/4. Make sure I score and don't cut because I've done that before. 3 1/4. 3 1/2, and then we're going over to 7 and 7 1/4. Okay, so that is what's going to be the cover. Then you're going to cut 3 of these, and these are your pages, and these measure 3 3/4 by 6 3/4. Okay, and then we're going to score each one at 3 3/8. Okay, so I'll leave those measurements on my blog, and you fold each one of those to create your pages. Okay, and then what we're going to do, I'll just move this out of the way. With the pages, okay, you're going to glue them back to back. So you're going to have one like that, and then you're going to glue the next one back to back there, and then the next one back to back there. Okay, so you're gluing them in that formation. That's very easy for you to see. Alright, so I'll do that really quickly. Take your time. This glue I like when I'm using black cardstock, as I know it dries matte, so it doesn't leave shiny residue like some glues do. Okay, so I'm lining them up the best that I can, really neatly. Okay, check all around. I always say things don't need to be perfect, but this kind of, you want it to look neat and tidy, otherwise it won't fold up nicely. So just check all around before your glue dries that that's all nice and straight, and then give it a press and then glue the next one on. Okay. Alright, and then we're going to do the same. We're going to glue it that way. I nearly did it the wrong way, then it wants to be that way. Okay, so that you've got it opening in a complete zigzag. So just bob that on there. Okay, there's one little tip. You can do it flat on the desk. Alright. If you close all that together, that should all be lined up. Give it a press. And that's your pages. And then what you'll do is decide which way you want to open it, and you'll glue one of the sides to the back of your folder, whichever side you want, however you want it. Don't think it matters. So let's get a bone folder, and I'm also going to use a corner rounder. Alright, so on here we're going to fold and burnish all of those score lines. Okay. Taking care with them because it is only a very small increment. Alright. There we go. Okay, and that is your basic cover. That's going to be your cover. Alright, now this little flap here, I'm going to round the corners on there. You don't have to. But I just like the neatness of it. Okay, so I'm using my triple corner, whatever it's called, finger. I can never remember its name. But it's a very handy punch to have, most definitely. I've always got to have a good corner rounder, and I like this one as opposed to some other brands, because some other this will cut paper. It will cut all kinds of different weights, and it will cut the thicker cardstock. Some of the other brands don't. I've had some that won't cut paper. I've had some that once you go to a certain weight of cardstock it won't cut. This will cut anything. It's brilliant. That's the benefit of Stampin' Up! Ones. So then you open it up like so. You're keeping the small flap there to your right and the large flap to the left. And then you just glue the accordion piece inside. Alright, just be careful not to go too close to those score lines because you want it to all fold up neatly. Alright, so there is room, with those measurements will give you a small amount of room to leave a tiny gap at each side so it's not right on the score line, and if you centre it carefully it will be flush and you'll get it straight, and then it will all fold in neatly like so, and then it opens out like so. Okay, I think mine opens out the other way. I think I've glued mine the other way, but it doesn't matter which way you do it, either way will be just as nice. And then what I have done is I've created a pocket for this front page to hold our gift card holder. So this is the pocket, so let me just find the measurements because I've written them all down. So this measures, what does it measure? 1 3/4, is it? 4 1/4 by 1 3/4. Let me just check that because I'm not convinced that I've written that down correctly. Where's my ruler? Just bear with me, let me get my ruler. I'll give you the right measurements. Because my planning goes a little bit like that on a piece of paper, and then often I can't always read my own writing. So this measures 4 1/4 by 1 3/4. Yeah, so I was right. 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. 1 3/4 by 4 1/4. And then we're going to score on 3 sides at 1/4 inch. Alright, super simple. And again, I will leave that measurement over on my blog, scrimpingmommy.co.uk. So then what you want to do is very carefully, because it is only a small increment, fold over where we've scored and give it a really good squeeze. I've used quite a heavyweight cardstock here. It's contraband, it's actually not Stampin' Up. I've had it in my stash for years. I've got loads of it, and so I'm using it up. I think I got it pre-Stampin' Up, but you can get it from there. Alright, so then we've scored and burnished all of those. We're just going to snip off straight across that score line there. Okay, we're just going to snip straight across, like so, at an angle. Alright, and then what you want to do is just reassess, and you want to make sure that that folds over on there and that they're not crossing over. If they look like they're going to cross over, snip a little bit more off at a sharper angle, because you're not going to see the inside bit. You want that to fold over, and you don't want them to go on top of each other, otherwise it'll go bulky and it won't be as nice. Alright, I'm just going to snip a bit more off there as well. There we go. So just do that and then just readjust it to make sure they're not layering over each other. That one's perfect, look. I hope you can see that. So that when you fold them over, they're not on top of each other making bulk. Right, that's quite important. And then you just want to put some glue on, very carefully. Or tape if you prefer tape. I prefer glue these days because it gives me more time to move it about and get it straight. Because my hand-eye coordination's not fantastic. Right, so I'm going to lay this on here. We don't want it right on the score line, but we want it up to the edges. Okay, so do it carefully and make sure it's straight. So you can just see there, I've just left a small gap between the bottom of there and the score line, so that you've got room for all of this to close and nothing is you know, impinging on anything and stopping anything from closing or folding nicely. Alright, and then because I've got a little bit of wiggle room, I can make sure that's nice and straight, and then I can give that a press with my bone folder, and there's my pocket. Now you can put a thumb notch in there if you want. I just didn't want to on this one. Alright, and as I say, you can have that opening that way, or you could glue it the other way and have it opening that way. It's totally up to you, and that will all close all nice and neat. And so all you've got to do then is layer it with paper. Okay, so I'll share some of that with you, and then we will do the little closure, and then yeah, we're good to go. So what we want first of all is we want paper on this flap. So I have used the globe. Now I have made sure that it's running top to bottom on my pattern, so that when it shuts, the globes are running top to bottom, not side to side. Alright, so you might want to bear that in mind when you're cutting your paper. You might not be bothered, but I just did. So this measures DSP for the flap 3 5/8 by 1 3/8. Alright, again, I'll put all of the detail, all of the measurements on my blog, and I'm going to round the two corners so that they match the cardstock when I glue it down. See, that's just paper, and that's punches cut it perfect. That's why I love Stampin' Up punches. Add some glue. Okay, open it up. You can do it before you construct all your book if you like, but I like to get the book all done and then plan where I'm going to put my paper. I can't always tell unless it's put together which one I like side by side. Alright, so that's the flap done. So now we're going to do the pocket, and we're doing the pocket at the same time as the flap because those two pieces are going to measure the same. That's going to measure 1 3/8 by 3 5/8 as well. Okay, so those two are the same measurements. That makes it nice and easy, and you can cut those out of any scraps. We don't need to round this one because I've not rounded the pocket. And again, being mindful, this is a map with writing on, so I'm having that running top to bottom. Stick that on there like so. It is my husband's birthday coming up shortly, and so I may well use this as a birthday card and see if I can find some small photos of the children to just slip inside, and then he can have it on his desk like so, or like so. So that's what I'm going to do. And then, so what we need now is we need the DSP for the flap, for the front and for the back. So let's have a look. There are slightly different measurements, these. Right, so for the front we want 1 3/8 by 5 3/8. So I've got this paper here. So we've got 3 1/8 by 5 1/8. No, 3 5/8, I beg your pardon. So this wants to be 3 5/8, which is there. And that wants to be 3 1/8, which is there. Okay. So then that will fit like so on there. Okay. That's correct. Just be mindful again and double check before you commit, because the size on one side is just slightly smaller than on the other side. Okay. Again, I will leave them all on my blog, and I will clearly indicate which is which. So if you just cut them one at a time and glue them on one at a time, following the instructions, you won't put the wrong piece on the wrong bit. I think it's taller than it is wide. So the tallest, I think, is that right, or is it that way? Yeah, it's that way. It's taller than it is wide. So there we go. Just checking. Okay. And that's all on there nicely. Love, love, love this gold foiled paper. It looks really luxurious and beautiful. Look at that, it's lush. So then we're going to do the back. So the back measures 3 3/8 by 3 5/8. So it's slightly bigger. So just be careful with that. So we're going to do it the same. So 3 3/8 by 3 5/8. I'm going to need a different piece of paper now. I should have cut that one first. 3 3/8 by 3 5/8. Not to worry. Let me get another piece. I should have cut my larger one first before I cut it down, but not to worry. So I want 3 3/8 by 3 5/8. So 1 2 3. That. 3 3/8 by 3 5/8. Very little gets wasted because I'll be using that on the inside flaps anyway, so it's all good. Alright, some glue on that. Alright, and then this will be the back. And because it's nice, although it's fancy with the foiling, it's plain. So it's very forgiving. Alright, there we go, and that fits perfect. I'll give that a press. Alright, so that is your front and back and your pocket and your flap done. So then to layer the DSP inside, alright, these are all the same, all of those and all the back. So you've got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and you need to cut them to 3 5/8 by 3 1/4. Let me get my... So this should already be 3 1/4, this one. Yep, so that's already 3 1/4 because I used it to do my other one. So 3 1/4 by 3 5/8, which is there. Alright, and then you just cut them all the same. I'm not going to sit here and cut all 7. Alright, I'll just show you the one, and then you can go and cut the rest yourself. Just to save time, I will be videoing for another, I mean it wouldn't take me long, but maybe an extra 10 or 11 minutes. Okay. And then that will, being mindful again which way around I want it, because I've got writing on there. And I've picked this one because it matches the pocket. Okay. You don't have to have it matching, but I like it how it flows. And if you wanted to, you can even line the inside of the flap as well. I've not gone that far. Okay, but you could. And there we go. So then you just carry on layering all of those. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get my supplies together, and then we will create the little closure. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. I've got some scraps of black cardstock here. I've got my Versamark. I've got my little dust buddy. Unfortunately those are retired now, but I've still got mine. I'm using gold embossing powder. Alright, and then I've loaded up my stamps from the lovely Beautiful World stamp set. Alright, and we're going to emboss these, and then I'm going to show you how to apply them. I'm going to use dimensionals as well. So I'm just going to really gently just use my dust buddy on here. It's just meant to stop the embossing powder sticking on areas where it's not needed. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is ink up my globe. Fingers and thumbs. Okay, so I'll ink that up. Plenty on, want it nice and sticky. And there's lots of detail on this, so make sure you do give really good coverage. Alright, and then I'm going to very carefully stamp that on there, and I'm going to give it a little press. I'm holding in the top corner to release it so I don't get my greasy fingers all over, because I don't want the embossing powder to stick to my fingerprints, as it were. So that's that one. At the same time, I'm going to just do the little stand for the globe in the top corner there. I'm trying to be frugal with my supplies. I'm going to be cutting round that, so if I end up with a fingerprint it'll be fine. And then I've got a sentiment, and it says, "You make the world a better place." Okay, and we can punch this out with the same punch that we use for the world, for the globe there. And I think I used the 2-inch circle punch, so I'll just leave that handy. Okay, I'm just making sure that's stamped nicely. Put that away. Alright, and then we're going to do some magic. We'll do the heat embossing, which I absolutely love. So I'm going to sprinkle plenty on. We'll do the sentiment first. Plenty on. Tap, tap, tap. And I've got some. If you've got some in areas where you don't want it, for some reason I've ended up with it in the bottom corner there. I just get a little paintbrush and I very gently get rid of it, being mindful not to catch any of your wording. Alright, so let me just bob that there a minute, lift my other piece out of the way. Don't need to worry about that ink drying, it'll be fine. I'm just going to bob that back in that, because no me will get it everywhere. And then I'm just going to set my heat gun going, so you can mute me if you like. I'm not even plugged in. Just a moment. Do better if I plug it in, won't I? Alright. So that should turn very quickly. Just off camera there, aren't I? Not to worry. You can tell when it's done because the colour very clearly changes. Alright, so now I'm going to get my circle punch, carefully insert that, and I should be able to just nicely centre that, and it should just about fit if I'm careful. Maybe I've done with a slightly bigger piece of card, but we will manage. It'll be fine. There we go. Alright, so there's our sentiment. We'll bob that to one side, and then I'm going to get my other two pieces, add the embossing powder to the globe, turn it around and add it to the stand at the same time. Okay, you can see where I had my thumbprint there, look. And that's why we use the dust budder, because that embossing powder will stick just about anywhere. So I'm just going to mind this out of the way a moment, and we will heat set this one. Okay, 2 minutes. Alright, so that's that done. Let me just put my lid on there before I sneeze and knock it all over the floor. So again, I'm going to get my 2-inch circle punch, and I'll be able to punch out the globe there perfectly. In fact, I think I could probably go a little bit smaller. Let me find my 1 3/4. Let me have a look. 1 3/4 might be even. There we go. Look, that 1 3/4 is an even slimmer fit. I think I prefer that. Maybe that's what I used and not the 2-inch. Okay, punch that out. So that's 1 3/4. If you want a black border, then you'd go for the 2. Okay, and you'd have a black border there. But I'm going really close, and we'll just have that one. And then this little stand here, I'm just going to really quickly fussy cut. And there are, I think, the dies to coordinate. If you really feel you need them, it'd be a really good purchase. If you're not a fan of fussy cutting, I suggest you buy them so that you've got them, because having the coordinated things just makes your life a lot easier and a lot quicker. But yeah, so let me just leaving a really small black border so that it's neat. Okay, I'll do it as quick as I can. On my original one, I spent quite, you know, I was really careful, and I got a nice increment, even all the way around. It's easy to do if you just take your time. That line's a bit thick there. Let me just trim that. There we go. It is quite easy to do, and you move your paper and guide it through your scissors as you gently squeeze. That's the theory anyway. Sometimes I do it better and neater than others. You know, and some days it looks like a dog's dinner, and I maybe have to do it again, or just give it a little extra trim. But 9 times out of 10, it's absolutely fine. Okay, let me just trim that bottom bit there, that's a little bit thick. There we go, perfect, perfect. Alright, so then what all you have to do is very gently glue that bottom of the stand for the globe onto the globe. Oops, I've got far too much glue there. Let me just swipe some off. Just smoosh it a bit with my finger. Wipe it on my hand, I'll clean it off later. So I'm just going to attach that to the bottom of there. Okay, so that it looks like it's all attached. Alright, if you punch it with the bigger increment, then you've got the black space, and then you can sit it on. But I just like it like that. I don't know why, just do. Just wait for that to dry. Alright, then all you have to do with this one, I just glued that straight in. I didn't put it on dimensionals because that's just a sentiment, but you could put it on dimensionals. You could leave a corner free, so you could tuck something behind it, maybe another little card, maybe. Yeah, there's lots of, you know, things you can do to individualise it to yourself. Okay, so that's the sentiment, and then we're just closing it, and we're just going to adjust, you know, kind of see where we want it, and you just want a small amount of that to be able to tuck behind. So I want it about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some dimensionals, and I'm going to put my dimensionals down the middle. I'm going to leave the right hand side free, put one on the left, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit from my edge, rip it off, and that will just fit on the little stand there at the bottom. So we're leaving the right side of this with no dimensional so that you can slide that inside it. Alright, we're nearly done, we're nearly there. Don't forget, all of the measurements are on my blog, scrimpingmommy.co.uk. If you want to purchase any of the things that I've used today, there will be links over there as well. So look for central, make sure it's all neatly folded. I want it about there. Alright, there we go, and then that will flip open and then just flip shut, like so. Okay, so that's it, all done. I hope that you will give that little project a try. There you go, look, on the last one I did use the bigger circle. I think I layered them. I don't know why I changed my mind this time, because looking at it now I think I prefer it with the big circle. So there you go. You can always change it every time you make them and make them different. I hope you'll give that a try, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.